What the hell is up, everybody? Louie back here for another breakdown. We got UFC Columbus this Saturday. I'm going. I cannot wait. I've been dying to go to a UFC event ever since the pandemic started, and I got balls deep into it ever since. Finally gonna happen. 3.5 hour drive for me. That's nothing. Quick recap: last weekend, UFC London. I did pretty well. I lost though. When I lost big, unfortunately. The McKenna and Reed fight. You know, what are you going to do? Don't care. Lower levels, women's MMA. Then the Mike Grundy one. He was like minus 200. That one hurt me. But, you know, got caught in a guillotine. Whatever. Shit happens. But besides that, did pretty well. And then also Paul Craig. And I'm kicking myself because I thought that could have happened. But I really thought Krylov wouldn't have got caught in that, and he did. Paul Craig was almost out. It just hurts. But Paul Craig's the man. Keep doing you, man. He earned that victory, that's for sure. But Arnold Allen, I hit on him the most. I was, you know, it was even money line basically, and he just came out and surprised me. I didn't think he'd get the victory like that. No real sweat for me there. And then Aspinall and Volkov, I was really hesitant on that fight. I shouldn't have been, because Aspinall should have been like a minus 400 favorite at least. Pretty good weekend though. So, gonna keep this train rolling. We got UFC Columbus. Got Curtis Razor Blades taking on Chris Dawkins in the main event at heavyweight. Keep the heavyweight train moving here. Try to make some spots in the division, see where people are going to go. Figure out the title situation eventually. I like when they do that. It should be fun. I think it's a fun main event. And then you got Matt-Brown, hometown hero, so that would be fun to be there, especially be there live for that. And then you got the number one contender fight, Askar Askarov, Kai Kara-France at flyweight. Should be. I know Moreno and Figueiredo are going to fight one more time, but after that, I think the winner of this fight, they should get that. So that'll be fun. All right. First fight of the night, first fight of the prelims at 145 pounds. Men's featherweight, you got Luis Saldana taking on Bruno Souza. Saldana took on Austin Lingo his last fight. In the first round, he lands some jabs. He's in and out, lands a body kick. But he eats some hooks while he's getting pressed. But then he lands a body kick once he's in the pocket. But he gets pressed and eats some jabs. And then in the second round, you know, he gets very tired. You can tell his output dropped off dramatically, unfortunately, because he's a talented striker. But he eats a blitz, backs up, and he pumps jabs, but Lingo lands some hooks whenever he gets on the inside of Saldana, and then he eats a right hook off of a jump knee. And then in the third round, he stands in the pocket. He's able to slip hooks, but he eats some hooks in return, get into a little firefight. But he gets pressed, eats a right hook, then he eats a hook over his jab, gets hit with that, and then he gets dropped with a jab to the body. Honestly, in my opinion, partly because he's so tired. But then he gives up his back and gets right out the rest of the round. So, looked good in the first round. Second two rounds, not so much. And then Bruno Souza took on Melsik Bagdasaryan. Oh, we got that right. In the first round, he gets pressed. He eats a leg kick, but he shoots a single on the fence, but he's not able to get it finished. But then he gets pressed and he eats a back kick to the body. Then in the second round, he backs up and circles out of the hook range. But then he looks for 1-2s whenever he gets pressed, trying to get inside. But then he eats a 1-2 in the pocket and he backs up. Then when he's in the pocket, he throws a 1-2. But then he eats some short hooks and gets rocked toward the end of the second round. Then in the third round, he presses forward, lands a 1-2, and then he lands a step-in knee to the body. But then he dips a punch, and he's able to get the single, but he can't quite finish it. But, you know, good way to end the third round there. Bruno Souza, minus 115, Saldana, minus 105. This is a tough one. I think Saldana is the cleaner striker. I just think his cardio is a big issue for me, and the money line's so close. And, you know, can Luis Saldana win 2 rounds? Possibly, but I don't like him in a third round for sure. And Souza doesn't have a ton of output, but I think he might be able to wear on him, clinch him, grapple him, make him a little tired. It's a tough one, but it went back and forth. The line's even, basically. My pick here is Bruno Souza. I think he'll be able to tire him out. Second fight of the night, at 125, men's flyweight, you got Matheus Nicolau taking on David Devorak. Nicolau took on Tim Elliott his last fight. In the first round, he circles in range, then he steps in with a 1-2, but then he eats a flurry in return, but he gets pressed with the 1-2, then he gets taken down with a single off of the fence in the first round. Not a great first round, but second, third round starts to settle in a bit. Then in the second round, he gets taken down with a blast double immediately at the start of the round, but he's able to get to his feet relatively quickly, which is always good to see, especially against Tim Elliott. But then he lands a right hook whenever he gets pressed, and he lands some jabs and hooks to the body whenever he gets pressed, and then he's able to defend Tim's double, so you can tell he's starting to find his groove here. But then he eats some straight shots, but then he lands an uppercut to the body to end the round. Then in the third round, he dips the hooks of Elliott, and then he lands some body hooks, but he gets clinched to the fence. But then he gets pressed with the 1-2, but he's able to get the blast double after Tim lunges in a little bit, overextends himself, able to get the blast double there to end the fight and rides him out for about a minute. And, you know, great bounce back 2 rounds for him. So really good performance from Mateus over a tough veteran like Elliott. Then David Devorak, he took on Juan Camilo Ronderos his last fight. I hope I'm saying that right. In the first round, he's able to catch the kick and he swings some wide hooks, connects kind of. But then he eats some short right crosses in the pocket, but he's able to stuff the blast double from Ronderos, and then he's able to counter the hooks, and he lands some right crosses, and then he's able to rock him with the overhand right in the pocket. Then he uses a double underhooks, and he's able to get around jack him up, get around the back, and he's able to get a rear naked choke submission. And that's that. Not too much out of there, but it tells you enough. But Juan Camilo, it was very short notice, and it was his UFC debut. So Devorak minus 125, Nicolau plus 105. This is another tough one. But I really think the performance against Tim Elliott says a lot, coming back and having 2 strong rounds to end the fight. I like that a lot. It's a close one. It's a toss-up. I don't really know. I'm trying to stick with my rule about going with the underdog. So my pick here is Mateus Nicolau. I like his experience. I think the Tim Elliott experience was going to help him in this fight. Mateus Nicolau, hopefully. Okay, third fight of the night. At women's flyweight 125, you got Jennifer Maia taking on Manon Fiorot. I hope I'm saying that right again. Maia took on Caitlin Chukagian in her last fight. In the first round, she eats a 1-2 in the pocket. Whenever she gets countered off her hook. But she eats some jabs standing at range, but then she lands a straight right off of Caitlin's jab. Then she's able to land a short hook, but she gets clinched and taken down with the body lock trip into half guard for the rest of the round. Then in the second round, she lands a step in right hook, but she gets clinched to the fence. But then she starts walking into some jabs of Caitlin whenever she gets in range. And then she lands a step in 1-2. And then she's able to, but she dips down and eats a knee to the head, unfortunately, for her. But then then they're on the fence, and she tries to go for an arm toss, like Greco-Roman shit. And she fails, dumb move on my part, and gives up her back to Caitlin for the rest of the round. Bad ring IQ. Big red flag for me, unfortunately. Then in the third round, she eats a jab and a 1-2 at range. She walks in the jabs, however, when she's trying to get inside. And she presses forward and she lands some jabs, but then she gets countered by Caitlin at the end. So she's trying to get inside. Just couldn't really find her footing there in the fight. And then Manon Fiorot, she took on Mayra Bueno Silva her last fight. In the first round, she goes forward, lands a 1-2-3 combination multiple times throughout the rounds. Silva just keeps a high guard like this and just takes the shots. So, didn't go to the body enough for me, but, you know, scoring points, whatever. And, yeah, but then she pushes her down with a side kick, pretty powerful, and then she lands a right hook and then gets a double leg at the end of the first round. Then in the second round, her double is stuffed, but she eats a knee in the clinch. But she's able to reverse the clinch on the fence, scramble, get underhooks, able to pummel inside. And then but then back on the feet, she circles at range, and then she lands a jab, and then she's able to duck the cross of Silva and avoid damage. And then in the third round, she lands a 1-2, then a hook to the body, and then she lands a straight right, and she's able to get the double leg takedown off the fence. And then she lands a head kick and a jumping knee whenever she gets pressed. And then she lands a body kick, but her double gets stopped at the end of the fight. But she looks pretty good. Silva is one of those people that's just going to take a bunch of damage, not really offer any offense, but hard to put away. So I thought she looked good for over 3 rounds. Manon Fiorot is minus 475, and Jennifer Maia is plus 350. Very tempting. Jennifer Maia, can't write her off at all, but I just think she's a little bit over the hill. I think she's had her time. I think Manon is coming on strong now. I think Maia doesn't offer enough activity. I think Manon will be able to stuff the takedowns. I think she'll be able to land more strikes than her, a lot more output, especially in the second and third round. I think as the fight goes on, Fiorot is going to be able to keep the pace there. For Maia, might not be able to. Maia has his veteran tricks, but yeah, I don't think it's going to work on her. I hate the price, but it is what it is. It's women's MMA. Not lower level, I guess mid-level or lower level, but my pick here is Manon Fiorot. Fourth fight on the prelims at 185 pounds, men's middleweight. You got Alias Kab, Kizriev taking on Denis Tiulian. I hope I'm saying those right again. Both guys making their UFC debut. Kizriev, he took on Henrique Shigimoto his last fight. In the first round, he slips when he goes for a leg kick, but he's able to shoot a single on his knees, and he's able to work up to the body lock. Then he's able to take him down with a mat return, and then he's able to get both hooks in, take the back, and get a rear naked choke submission just like that. Throws his hips in pretty deep, really good technique, and that was that. And then Denis Tiulian took on Jocelino Ferreira his last fight. In the first round, he stands at range and he lands a jab, but he gets countered, and then he eats a right cross, unfortunately. But then he's able to get the underhook in the clinch, and then he lands a knee to the body. But then he lands a jump knee on the fence. But then he's able to back out of range of the hooks. Good defense there. And then he lands a straight and an overhand in a pocket exchange. Then he's able to grab the plumb tide real quick and land some knees to the body. Then they break. He lands a head kick. And he lands a 1-2 of hooks, left and right hooks, and then he gets the KO, and that's that. Both guys have, guns blazing, first round or bust, kinda. Denis Tiulian plus 575, Aliaskhab Kizriev minus 850. Line really sucks. Both guys making their debut, so basically I like Aliaskhab because he's got the wrestling, and I know it's deeper than that, but I mean, where I see wrestling versus striker, I think Aliaskhab is going to be able to take him down and get the quick submission or TKO. So that's that. The blind is crazy, but it's hard to find tape on these guys. I don't know too much about them, so got to take my chance. But if you get Aliaskhab by finish at all, submission or KO, TKO, it's minus 360. So hopefully it helps a little bit. But my pick here is Aliaskhab Kizriev. Okay. On to the feature fight of the prelims at 135, men's bantamweight, the most electrifying division in the sport. You got Chris Gutierrez taking on Dana Batgarel. Chris Gutierrez, he's one of my dark horses to watch at 135. Low-key fighter, doesn't have the most emphatic wins, but he gets it done, and, he TKOs people with leg kicks. So he took on Felipe Colares his last fight. In the first round, he circles on the outside, has his back to the fence, but he pumps a head kick. Then he slips the 1-2. He gets pressed, eats a 1-2, but he gives up his back standing. But he's able to break out. Then he's able to get a double, and he's able to get a double, and then he gets a reverse clinch reversal on the fence. And then they break, and he lands an uppercut in an exchange, and then he's able to get a body lock on the fence. So it's good to see him utilizing his grappling and pummeling for those positions. Then in the second round, he lands a jab at range. But then he's able to get back. He's able to back up and land a head kick, kind of backing out of range. He'll come in and then back out, and that's trying to find the range for his head kick. So a thoughtful fighter. But then he's able to stuff the double on the fence utilize double underhooks, and he just kind of jacks it up, and that's the perfect technique. And then in the third round, he slips a 1-2, but he gets clinched to the fence. But he lands an inside leg kick and then a jab. However, he gets taken down with a double into a body lock when he's on the fence, but he's able to push off the ground use his legs, and finally gets up for the last about 30 seconds of the round. Then he presses forward with some jabs and right hooks and tries to put a stamp on the third round, which, he fights for every dollar, so you got to respect that. And then Dana Batgarel, he took on Brandon Davis his last fight. In the first round, he lands a lead left hook and then a right hook. And then he lands a jab and then a right hook, which rocks him pretty bad. Then he lands a left over top of Davis's jab. Then he lands a straight right off of Davis's jab again. And then he lands a jab and then a right hook. And then he's able to drop him and then jumps on him and gets TKO. Pretty impressive win. Batgarel minus 125. Gutierrez plus 105. And, Gutierrez has had a little bit more experience. But Batgarel, he's getting these impressive finishes, and that's what you want to see out of a newcomer. The line's relatively close, but I got a thing for Chris Gutierrez. I know it's going to be tough, and Batgarel's got power, but I have a feeling Chris Gutierrez might take a beating in the first round, but I think if he can get a second and third round might be close. I think he could take over to the third round here. Just a feeling, but I really like Chris Gutierrez, so my pick here is Chris Gutierrez. Plus money, take it, why not? Okay. On to the co-main event of the prelims at women's bantamweight 135. You got Sarah McMahon taking on Carol Rosa. Sarah McMahon took on Juliana Pena her last fight. It was a little over a year ago. And the first round, she lands a short right counter to Pena's jab, and then she blitzes off of Pena's jab, really gets inside, and lets it fly basically. And then, but she gets pressed, but she's able to get the single leg, get the takedown real quick, and then she's able to take the back, and she has one hook in. But then they get back, Penny's able to get out, they get back on the feet, and then they clinch, and she's able to get another single takedown. And then she doesn't land much ground and pound, more maintaining position. So she definitely wins the round, but not doing a ton of damage here. And then in the second round, she lands a high single when they're in the pocket, and then she's able to escape the guillotine from Pena. She's able to take full guard. Then she takes the back, gets one hook in again, but then she slides off. Juliana finally being able to win these positions here. But however, she's able to keep the clinch on the fence. But then she eats some hooks in a clinch on the break. And then you can tell she's fading here a little bit, her gas level. So, and then in the third round, she clinches on the fence, but she gets taken down with an inside trip into side control from Pena, and Pena just takes over this round basically. This was her moment. And then she just gives up her back, and then she gets rear naked choke submitted pretty quick. And Pena has a good rear naked choke, as we've seen, against Mia Nunez. So, I thought she looked good for the first 2 rounds. Third round kind of fell apart, unfortunately. And then Carol Rosa took on Betch Correia her last fight. In the first round, she gets the plum tie and then lands knees to the body. And then she lands a step-in 1-2. And then she stalks her against the cage. And then she shoots a single on the fence, but doesn't get it, but she's able to keep the clinch and just kind of wear on her. Then in the second round, she presses with some jabs and knees to the body. She lands a 1-2 and then an inside leg kick. And then she keeps getting the plum ties and elbows and knees, kind of gets those a couple different times, pulls it, and then kind of backs out, or they break apart. But then she's able to get the clinch on the fence, and then she lands a big hook and an elbow flurry in the pocket. And then in the third round, she lands a front kick and then a right hook, and then she's able to slide out of Betch's attacks, and then she lands a counter left hook on Betch, and then she lands a knee to the body, and then a clinch, but she misses, tries to go for the trip, misses it, but still in control, and still lands the bigger shots in that round. Carol Rosa minus 200, Sarah McMahon plus 170. Again, lower level women's MMA, and I don't know, man. I just don't. McMahon didn't look too bad, but I think she's gonna fade as the fight goes on. And I thought Carol fought a tough fight against Betch and did a lot of damage. McMahon, I don't know, man. She hasn't fought in a little over a year, which is concerning, and she's a little older, so minus 200, it sucks. But women's MMA is women's MMA, and if I get one of these wrong, whatever. My pick here is Carol Rosa. On to the main event of the prelims. At 170 pounds, men's welterweight, you got Neil Magny taking on Max Payne Griffin. A battle for top 10 supremacy at 170. Who's going to be, relevant in the division, still in the title picture somewhat, and I'm excited for it. And, Max Griffin, rising prospect, huge spot for him. And Neil Magny, he just needs to win this one to stay relevant. Neil Magny took on Jeff Neal his last fight. In the first round, he eats a right hook and a straight right as he's pressing forward. He lands a straight left, but he lands straight left, but then he gets slipped, and he gets clinched to the fence by Neal, but then he eats a flurry, but he's able to circle off the fence, and then he presses with a 1-2, and then a body kick, and then he gets clinched, but he's able to slip the hook and shoot a double, but he's able to get Neal's back, and then get some mat returns. Magny is standing, and Neal's on his back, and Magny just making him carry his weight, which is really good over the course of 3 rounds, and then he pumps teeps at the end of the round. And then in the second round, they crash into each other, and he eats a right cross, but then he lands a straight right whenever he gets pressed. But then he gets taken down with the body lock, but then he pops right back up. Then his double leg gets stuffed, and then he gets clinched. But then he slips some hooks, and he's able to shoot a single, and he's able to get her on the back again, similar position. And then end the round, he sticks the moves with a jab, and you can tell he starts finding his rhythm, starts landing on Neal. Neal's getting a little tired. Then in the third round, he lands a straight right when they're inside the pocket. Then he lands a side kick to the body. Then he gets pressed to the fence, but he's able to grab Jeff, and he pulls his head, gets the plum tie, and then he breaks the clinch, and then he's able to land some straight shots on the break. And then he lands a bunch of jabs in the pocket, just kind of relentless, and then he shoots a double, and he's able to get the body lock trip. But then he eats a straight left on the fence from Neal, but doesn't take too much damage. And then he just circles and lands some jabs to end the round. And it looks like Magny's losing, but he kind of, whenever Neal presses him with some shots, Magny kind of grabs him and works his way in the clinch, and it's kind of like a leech. So. And then Max Griffin took on Carlos Condit his last fight. Pretty good fight. In the first round, he presses, lands some leg kicks, but he eats a short hook, but then he lands a counter and a flurry of straight shots, and then he drops him with the flurry, and then lands some hard ground and pound, like really hurt him. And then in the second round, he's at range. He lands a step in leg kick, but he slips. And he slips the hooks of Condit, and then he eats a straight right and a body hook when he's standing at range. But then he eats a straight right in the pocket from Carlos. And then in the third round, he steps in the pocket, and then he lands a short left, and then he presses with a straight right, and then a blitz with combinations. Then he lands an overhand right in a pocket exchange, lands a 1-2-1 combination in the pocket, but he eats a left hook to the body when they're standing in the pocket. And then he eats overhand right and a left hook to the body, but he's able to rock him with a straight right whenever Carlos throws his hook, and then he hits him with the blitz, and then he's able to get the double leg takedown off the fence, and the fight pretty strong. So pretty good performance from him. Max Griffin plus 205, Neil Magny minus 255. Tough one. I think the line's a little high. Magny kind of makes me nervous because of his style. Like I said, it kind of looks like he's losing, but he does more activity over the course of the fight. And this is a tough one. I don't think it should be this high, but I really like Magny. Griffin struggled with Condit. He looked good, but I think Magny's going to be able to wear him down. I think Magny's fresh. I just don't think he'll ever be elite. Is Max Griffin going to be elite at 170? I don't think he's quite there yet. My pick here is no Magny. First fight of the main card at 155 pounds, men's lightweight. You got Mark Diakase making his return, taking on Vyacheslav Borshev. Hope I said that one right again. Diakase took on Rafael Alves his last fight. In the first round, he lands some step-in leg kicks, then he backs out, but he eats a stiff jab. When he eats a stiff jab, whenever he goes in for his jab, he gets beat to the jab there. And then, he eats a flying knee and gets put in a guillotine. Alves pulls a guillotine, then he taps out, and that was that. Unfortunate. His fight before that, he hadn't fought in like a year, and I believe it was against Rafael Fiziev, so tough one, but shattered prospect right now. I'm trying to get back on track. And then Vyacheslav Borshev took on Dakota Bush his last fight. In the first round, he lands some hooks and a knee in the pocket, but then he gets taken out with a double. But back on the feet, he gets put in an underhook clinch on the fence, and then he eats a knee to the body on the break. Then he eats some body kicks and a right hand over his jab, and then a left hook, but he's able to land a counter right hook in that exchange. But then he gets doubled from space, and he gives his back, but he's able to shake him off, which is good to see. And then he's able to get out of the clinch using underhook, able to break out of the clinch, and then he drops him with a left hook to the body, and then jumps on top of him and gets a TKO. So had a little adversity there, gets taken down a little bit. But over time, Dakota Bush gets tired, and he's able to implement his game plan and put the pressure on him. And a really good performance from him. Borshev minus 145, Diakase plus 125. Kind of easy one here. I'm gonna go with Borshev. The line's not too wide. I don't think Diakase has it right now. I think Borshev's gonna be able to wear him out. I think Diakase might land some hard strikes in the beginning, but I think they go past the first round. I think Borshev's gonna get it done. I think he'll be able to get some takedowns. My pick here is Vyacheslav Borshev. Second fight on the main card at 265, men's heavyweight, the big boys. Ilir Latifi taking on Alexei Oleinik. And, both guys trying to stay relevant here. I mean, Latifi had a good win over Boser, but it was like, a lot of people thought he lost. And Oleinik really needs a win here, so both guys are kind of desperate, and it should be a fun fight. They're going to give it all they have. And Latifi took on Tanner Boser his last fight. In the first round, he gets pushed back with head and body kicks by Boser, but he's able to catch the body kick, and then he gets the takedown into half guard off Boser, which was huge for him, sealed him the round. But then Boser's able to work up at the end, and then he eats some jabs at range. Then in the second round, he lands a short left in the pocket exchange. Then he eats a right when he's lunging in with his uppercut. Then he eats a short right, and I guess it hits him in the eye or something like that. I guess Boser punches people in the eyes because it's happened before with him, but he gets dropped. Boser unleashes on him from the background a pound. Latifi's a tough son of a bitch, gets up, and he's able to circle out, and then he's able to get the clinch on the fence, but then they break, and he gets pressed and eats a 1-2. But, that was really tough. Latifi can take a punch. Then in the third round, he eats a lead hook on the fence, but he backs up at range, and then he's able to get the high single for, most of the round, I think about, 4 minutes. And then he doesn't do much, stays on full guard, wins the round. Very, smart fighter. He got it done, man. And, a lot of people think Boser should have won, but, I mean, Latifi did enough. And, he was able to work him the whole round, which is huge. So, dude can score points at least, And then Alexei Oleinik took on Sergey Spivak his last fight. In the first round, he gets clinched to the fence, but then he's able to break off. And then he presses forward and he swings some wide hooks. but then he's able to land some in the firefight, but he gets hit as well. You know how that goes. But then he stalks and he lands some leg kicks, and then he shoots a single on the fence, but not able to finish it. But then he throws a straight shot and gets clinched on the fence, and gets clinched on the fence, and then Spivak gets around his back. I'm sorry, he gets around Spivak's back and he pulls him to the mat. Excuse me. Like a mat return, just kind of snakes around. Olynyk got that old guy grappling, old big guy grappling, and he's tricky and he can do it, man. You got to watch out for that. And then he's able to take his back and then work in a full mount and really puts a stamp on the end of the first round there against Sergey. Then in the second round, he presses forward. He lands some lunge, straight right shots, and then he lands a leg kick, and they both swing wide hooks again, kind of a fire fight. Then Alexei pulls Sergey on top of him. No excuse for that. Pulls him on top of him, and he gets beat up at half guard for a while, and then Sergey tries the anaconda. Olynyk's able to roll out and then gets full mount and scarf hold for like the last 10 seconds. So I don't know, man. Bad IQ in this fight altogether. Then in the third round, he's in the pocket, lands some hooks to the body, but then he eats some knees from Sergey. But then he stalks forward with some wild uppercuts. And then his clinch, he has a clinch, but he gets reversed and he eats a flurry. And then his double leg attempt gets stuffed and he eats some hooks and knees from Sergey. Then his single leg gets stuffed and then he gets put in half guard at the end of the fight. Sergey able to crash his hips in and get on top of the rest of the round. So really kind of a competitive fight with Spivak. Bad IQ all around, but second round, that's what killed it for me. Pulled him on top of him. Not good, man. You don't want to do that against Latifi, man. I mean, Latifi's a big guy, not the most devastating ground and pound, but, if you're going to give Latifi points, shouldn't do that against anybody, in my opinion, unless you can tap him, unless you're Paul Craig. So, which he's not. Alexei Olynyk plus 170, Latifi minus 200. Tough one here. Don't like the line too much, but I think Alexei Olynyk's had it. He's had a great career, fun career, had some fun victories, but that's just not going to work against Latifi. I thought Latifi looked pretty good against Bozer. I think Latifi will be able to get the takedowns, hold position. I think he's a veteran as well, so I think he knows Alexei's game a little bit. My pick here is Ilir Latifi. On to the third fight of the main card at 125 pounds, men's flyweight. You got Askar Askarov taking on Kaikar France. Hopefully a 125-pound title eliminator. Super great fight. I'm pumped for it. Askar Askarov took on Joseph Benavidez his last fight. In the first round, he presses at range, lands front kicks, then he lands a counter overhand right at range, then he lands a step in straight left, and he presses forward, is able to land the head kick, then he lands a straight right, and then shoots a double, but he's able to take his back standing, able to roll through the positions and scramble through, and he's able to maintain the back for the rest of the round. In the second round, he eats some combinations on the fence, but then he's able to rock him with the right hook when he's coming in. Then he lands a clinch to the fence and gets a body lock, slam, takedown. Then he's able to stay around the back, does a lot of mat returns. Then he gets both hook in. He's able to threaten a rear naked choke and then lands some ground and pound in the second round. In the third round, he lands a head kick at range. Then he lands a left hook whenever he gets pressed. Then he lands a check right hook and he's able to pump front leg kicks. Then he lands a step in jab. Then he lands a knee to the body, but he eats overhand right. Then the fight looked really good against a veteran like Joe Benavidez. And then Kaikar France took on Cody Garbrandt in his last fight. I know Cody dropped down in weight class. He doesn't have a great chin, but still an impressive performance, in my opinion. In the first round, he stalks at range, and then he's able to pressure Cody to the cage. He presses forward, lands some jabs, and then he presses from range, and he's able to drop him with the overhand right. Then he drops him again with the right cross. He misses a straight right, a little too extended, and Cody's able to take him out the double leg, but he gets right back up because he knows he has to finish him now. And then he's able to land another overhand right, and then he lands a right cross, and then a straight left to an uppercut, and then a hook, and then a flurry of hooks, and then he's able to get the knockout. Just kind of jumps on him, but he doesn't tire himself out. And he smells blood, but he's able to pick his shots and be precise, which is what I like. And the line here, Car France plus 310, Askarov minus 410. I think that's extremely disrespectful to Kara France. I think Askarov would be the better grappler, might be the more technical, but Kara France has power, and his conditioning's decent, and, just knocked two guys out. So that line is disrespectful to me. Plus 310. My pick here is Kaikar France. No brainer there, in my opinion. Feature fight of the night, 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got the hometown hero, Matt Brown, taking on Brian Bam Bam Barberina. Should be crazy to see this guy fight live. Matt Brown took on Diego Lima his last fight. In the first round, he stalks forward, eats some leg kicks at range, but he presses forward. He lands a 1-2, but he gets clinched, and he's not able to land. but then he's able to return some leg kicks when he breaks off, and then he's able to land a step-in jab at the end of the round. Then in the second round, he lands a knee, and then he's able to get double underhooks, and he clinches to the fence, and he's able to defend his double with the double underhooks as well, and that's really good. Just jacks him up, gets him off of him right away. But then he eats some leg kicks in the pocket. He eats a lot of leg kicks on this fight, but it didn't seem to bother him too much. Then he's able to stuff the double, and he's able to get his back toward the fence and defend. Then he's able to frame out of the clinch. He lands a straight right to the body, and then he resets. And then as Lima's throwing, he lands a straight right to the head and knocks him the fuck out. Very powerful shot. And Matt Brown didn't have too much activity this fight, but he made it count, picked his shot, got the knockout over Diego Lima. Diego Lima doesn't get knocked out too much, so. Brian Barberena took on Darian Weeks his last fight. Darian Weeks making his UFC debut this fight. In the first round, he's at range. He pumps the leg kicks. He gets clinched to the fence and taken down with an outside trip, but he gets right back up. And then he starts landing the inside leg kicks, lands a couple of those. He finds his mark. Then he gets clinched to the fence and he eats some knees. Then in the second round, he presses forward, lands a 1-2. But then he gets clinched to the fence and taken down with another trip. But on the bottom, he's able to go for an armbar attempt and use that to stand up. And then he lands a straight left to the body and he presses with some 1-2s, but he eats some counter hooks when he's pressing. But then he presses forward and he gets taken down with the blast double. But then he's able to work his way back up and land a right hook inside the pocket. Then in the third round, he gets clinched to the fence and defends the double. And he lands a jab and then a right hook to the body. And then he lands some left hooks to the body in another pocket exchange. And then he lands some body hooks when they're in the firefight. But then he gets taken down with a double as he's pressing forward to end the fight. But he did enough. Honestly, Weeks could have squeaked it out. It was a tough one. Just didn't have enough activity for Barberena. Doesn't hit particularly hard in my opinion. The line, Barberena -115. Matt Brown -105. The line's basically even there. Matt Brown's fighting in his hometown. He just knocked out Diego Lima. I think he'll be able to land a big shot on Brian Barberena. I think, if not, be able to wear on him. You're not going to stop Matt Brown. My pick here is Matt Brown, man. Co-main event of the night at 125 pounds, women's flyweight at 125 pounds. Joanne Wood taking on Alexa Grasso. Fun fight for the women's division. Alexa Grasso looking to make that jump up. Joanne Wood, she's a veteran, and she's got to win this one, or her career is basically over. Unfortunately, she had a good run, but both women have something to fight for here. Joanne Wood took on Talia Santos her last fight. In the first round, she backs up and then lands a 1-2 and then a head kick. But then she eats a right cross in a pocket exchange, and then she lands some leg kicks in the pocket, and then she fires a 1-3 combination, but it's a little too short. And then she gets dropped with the counter straight right after that. But then she's at range and she eats a 1-2, and then a 1-2 gets dropped again, and then she gives her back up and she gets submitted with a rear naked choke after that. Just took too much damage and couldn't escape out of it. Talia Santos is a monster. She hits hard. So, Joanne Wood just kind of passed it, unfortunately. Fought a lot of good women and, maybe the damage is starting to take its toll. Alexa Grasso took on Macy Barber her last fight. It's about a year ago. In the first round, she gets clinched, but she's able to pull the head down, and then she's able to reverse the position on the cage. She lands a 1-2 counter off of Macy's hook, and then she lands the elbow in the clinch, but she eats the elbow on the clinch break from Macy. But she eats some hooks, but she's able to land some straight shots in the firefight. And then in the second round, she lands a right uppercut and then a left hook, and that rocks Macy. And then she lands a knee, and she's able to break the clinch and land a knee and get out of the clinch. And then she gets pressed, but she eats a 1-2. But then she eats a body kick, but she slips. But she's able to slip, and then Macy gets on top, unfortunately. But then real quick, she gets that arm bar, and she uses it to reverse to position. And then she puts Macy in an arm triangle attempt, and then she transitions to a rear naked choke and takes it back for the rest of the round, which is really nice recovery there from her, because if she would have got ridden out, she would have gave up that round. She did not want to do that. In the third round, she eats a short right hand in the pocket, but she's able to get the clinch to the fence, but then she gets taken down with the inside trip. But then she gets back on the feet. She gets pressed with the right hook and then a flurry from Macy. Macy really turning it on in this third round, just trying to put a stamp on it, going for a finish basically. But then she eats the elbow in the clinch. But then she's able to use the underhook to reverse the clinch on the fence. And then she's able to slip the hook, and then she lands some counters to end the fight. But, Macy got her shots in the third round, but Grasso looked really good in the first two rounds there. And then she came out really aggressive, able to use her wrestling, and then getting that armbar to reverse the position and knocks that bottom. That was brilliant. Alexa Grasso at -255, Joanne Wood +205. I don't like the line here, but I just think it's Alexa Grasso's time. She's younger. I think she's had time to develop. I think Wood's a little past it here. We'll see. The line sucks, and I don't know. I'm bound to be wrong on one of these women's fight, but my pick here is Alexa Grasso. I just think she's going to be more tenacious, and I think she'll take it to Joanne Wood. Alexa Grasso. On to the main event of the evening, 265 pounds, men's heavyweight. You got Curtis Razor Blades taking on Chris Dawkins. A lot at stake here for both guys. Both lost to Derek Lewis. Both guys need this win to get into the title picture at all. Curtis Blades just beat Rosenstrike, trying to make a bit of a comeback, and Chris Dawkins trying to prove himself here. Curtis Blades took on Jairzinho Rosenstrike his last fight. In the first round, he presses forward with some jabs. Then he's able to get the double off the fence into side control. Lands a couple elbows, nothing crazy though. But then Rosenstrike able to get back on his feet, and then he backs out of range of hooks, keeps his high guard, avoids damage. Then in the second round, he stands at range and he feints some kicks and jabs. But then he eats a jump knee as he's level changing. And a big one there. But then he backs out and he's able to get another blast double. And then he's able to get half guard for the rest of the round. And then in the third round, he's able to slip the hooks and return some jabs. And then he lands some inside leg kicks. And then he's able to press and get another double leg into half guard and ride out the rest of the round. Took a little bit of damage, but did what he had to do. Then Chris Dawkins took on Shamil Abdurakhimov his last fight. In the first round, he stalks into range, jabs, and then lands an overhand right. But he eats a right hook, but he keeps his high guard and circles away, doesn't try to take too much damage. Then he eats a lead left hook from Shamil. Then he lands a short left hook in a pocket exchange, and then he backs out. Then he drops him with the leg kick. Shamil's going for a spin. Dawkins times it perfectly. And then back on the feet, he lands a straight right to the body, and then a left hook to the head, and drops him, gets on top, tries to finish. 10 seconds left. No, he's not going to finish. Saves his energy for the next round. Good move by him because he's really going to need to save his gas against Curtis Blades. Then in the second round, he gets in the pocket and he presses and lands some hooks. But then he eats a left hook, but then he returns a beautiful, perfectly timed right cross and gets the knockout just like that. Or knockout, then he has to jump on top of him and get TKO, but it should have been knockout, whatever. Gets it done, man. Looked really good. Hand speed. He's powerful. Chris Dawkins plus 330. Curtis Blades minus 435. I think the line's disrespectful. We know the story. Curtis Blades, you're just going to take him down. Well, we haven't seen Dawkins in that situation quite yet. And everybody assuming Dawkins' cardio is bad, but we don't know, man. I think Blades hangs out too much. I think Dawkins is going to be able to land on him. Dawkins is powerful. Curtis Blades, he got banged. He ate that huge knee against Rosenstrike. I think Dawkins can hurt him, man. I do think it'll have to be a little earlier, though, so I don't think it's going to go over 3 rounds either. Well, if Curtis has his way, it's probably going to go off 5 rounds. I think Dawkins can get done 2 or 3 rounds. And then Chris Dawkins by KO is plus 450. I like that line. So, Chris Dawkins plus 330. My pick here is Chris Dawkins. All right, everybody, thank you. I appreciate it. I've had some good weeks recently. I want to keep that train rolling. Thank you for supporting me. Going to be going to Columbus. Try to take some pictures and videos and stuff. I'll definitely report back how it was. Can't wait. Very excited. Check my description, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that. Try to post up some videos, leave some comments and some suggestions. Talk to me. Have a discussion with me. Let me know your parlays. Ask me for help. Maybe you can help me. I'm always open for that. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. And let's see some action in Columbus on Saturday.